What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast. We are here on a Monday. It's been an awesome weekend of football. We hit the Next Guy Up parlay. UT smacked Oklahoma.
Yep.
There was chaos in the NFL and college football all weekend long. So we are here to break down what happened, give out our Next Guy of the Week award. We're not going to be talking about the Josh Allen of the Week this episode because that's going to be happening tonight if you're listening on Monday night. So, boys, big weekend. Congrats. We all nailed our parlay legs.
Did it.
Among other things. We did pretty well in the Discord this weekend, but it's been a fun weekend of football. I have not done much other than sit around, eat wings, and watch football.
Sounds pretty nice.
Pretty nice weekend.
I might change doing an NFL pick because if you guys end up getting yours correct on Saturday, I have a lot of pressure, and mine was not an easy. Theirs were easy to cash. If anybody is not aware, Zach had UT -7, and then Ole Miss minus what was the
35.
35. Okay, and that seems like a lot of points, but I was not very nervous about either of those watching the games. But this one, the Lions -2.5, a little nervous there, all the way down to the end of the end. But listen, I was thinking about taking college football picks, but also I might just focus on college football because being an NFL fan right now for a particular team it's tough in these streets. Wouldn't you say, Zach?
That's a fact. Yeah, we had the game on.
Yeah. Yep.
It did not go well. It was the Will Levis experiment. You have to feel like is coming close
to a close
to something. Something's got to happen. He did not look very good today. It's almost can't wait for him to go and just be incredible with another NFL franchise at some point. So,
who else would do something like that?
Yeah.
Maybe wearing green today.
Yeah, I think the Titans could have used maybe like a switch at quarterback, a guy who could run a little, maybe like a Malik Willis type quarterback. It'd be really great if you guys had a guy like that on the roster.
If only.
I've not had a good 2 weeks of me ripping that too, but Malik Willis and doubting him. I lost some bets on it. It was so bad of a take that I threw up. And then this week, I could have actually threw up this weekend with how bad that game went. So it's been I'm here recording though. Didn't make me sick, but it could have of how bad that game.
It's very brave, Mason.
Tough. Thank you. No, but Tinsley, his game we don't get to talk about, unfortunately. But I feel like, and this wasn't in the topics, but I feel like we're gonna get one of two Tinsleys, and it's gonna be if they go 0-3, he's gonna want to blow it up, fire everybody. If they go 1-2, there's hope. And if you give Tinsley hope, which I've seen when they've played against the Chargers, all it took was them to have a little bit of a comeback. And Tinsley with hope is a dangerous. He needs it at this point.
Yeah. Let's just say there might be plans in my head that if we win tomorrow night, I might be in Houston next Sunday.
How long of a drive is that?
12 hours and 48 minutes.
Oh, you already looked it up.
That's the positive of playing in the AFC South is there's a bunch of games against some pretty bad teams at this point. And the Colts and Titans, you're going to play 4 games there. And then, the Texans are pretty good, but they've shown
they have some flaws today.
They have some flaws. So there's plenty of opportunity still. Titans might be tanking at this point in the season. They've played some kind of mediocre teams and looks pretty bad.
What I have to keep telling myself is what I told all listeners at the beginning of week 1. I said, take these first 4 weeks, take some, it's a filling out process, find some futures on division winners with a team that maybe starts out slow. I think I was talking to future 10s because the Jags have obviously started out slow. Our division odds right now are like plus 600. It might be time to sprinkle it right now because if we win tomorrow, it's going to cut in half. We win next week against the Texans, it's going to be right back where.
Do you really think so? Because all the teams lost, so you don't think that's moved at all? With you guys still having hopes of winning, being the only team AFC South team to win. I'm looking it up right now. I'll find it
Texans
on here.
won their first 2 games, and today's loss against the Vikings was an out of conference game, so it doesn't hurt them in the division. And we're 6-point underdog tomorrow, so it I would assume the books are factoring in that we're going to lose tomorrow. So our division odds should be about the same. Maybe not.
I don't see it on here. It might be closed until these games are over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm sure there'll be a TikTok one way or the other.
0-3. Remember what we said? Only one team has done it. Got to the playoffs.
Texans, right?
Yeah, Texans 2018. So
yeah, I mean, if we go 0-3, then I don't even want to make the playoffs at that point. Give me Clint Kubiak.
That's all he's rooting for. Oh man. Okay. So
yeah, we have a lot of action to get to.
Yeah, we really did.
We had a huge week in college. It was after a pretty lackluster week last week. I feel like especially the mid-afternoon games in college were pretty exciting. There was a handful of games that all came down to it. We had a pretty good game on Friday night as well, and so there's a lot of it. There's a lot of college action, and I'm excited to get to it. We just want to jump into this, boys.
Yeah, let's dive on.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to use our categories today to have some conversation about all of the NFL and college action. So our first category of the day is upset of the week. Upset of the week. Tins, what'd you have there? Upset of the week.
Pulling it up because I can't remember off the top of my head. There's so much football. It's loading. Okay. I had the Denver Broncos beating the Bucks. This Denver Broncos team started out the season looking pretty bad. Bo Nix hadn't looked good up to this point, and then they go into Tampa Bay as a 7-point underdog. Most bet on team today was the Buccaneers to cover the spread.
Wow.
Yeah.
And not only do they win, but they win convincingly. I think final score was 26-7. Bo Nix was running around, using his legs a lot, not turning the ball over like he had been. And the Bucks, I think, just kind of came out flat. And I don't know, they just looked like this was a game they thought they were going to easily win, and maybe they weren't as prepared as they should have been, but this was a team that was starting to get some hype about, are they one of the top teams in the NFC? And then they just kind of come out and fall on their face. That was a little embarrassing.
So real quick, I have 2 bold predictions. I want to go ahead and do one of them now while we're talking about the Broncos. So if the Broncos actually keep winning games and Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are losing games, and Caleb Williams was a favorite going in, and he's actually dropped. And I know there's wide receivers on this list as well, and I want to go over it. But Bo Nix at plus 1,500 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year is my bold prediction right now. If he keeps this going, you want to take flyers, right? You don't want to take like favorites, because if you want to take something at like literally plus 100, Caleb Williams at plus 100, which what it was, now it's at plus 700. So you literally lost 600. You're getting worse odds now. And I don't know if we're going to end up talking about his performance or not. Congrats. He finally got his first throwing touchdown.
Where's my boy Jaden Daniels?
Do it.
Where's Jaden Daniels on that list?
So Jaden Daniels is plus 320. The wide receivers, which it can happen, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying we always look at the quarterbacks. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is at plus 220, and Malik Neighbors, which he had a heck of a game, I want to talk about here in a little bit. He's at plus 220 as well. So they're tied. Then you got Bo Nix down here at plus 1,500, the same as Brock Bowers, the tight end for the Raiders. So I like the late flower. If he keeps like a late flyer pick, if he keeps like rushing a couple touchdowns, getting some wins, which he did today, it's not a bad dart throw there.
No, I agree with that. That would be the time to do that. It's plus 1,500 because the other 2 quarterbacks haven't been convincing so far.
And I know Jaden Daniels plays. There's a doubleheader tonight, everybody, for those that are not aware, on the Monday night, because they usually do it week 1. It's week 3. They got Zach looks like he didn't know, but Commanders at the Bengals and Jags at the Bills. So we'll know if the Commanders end up pulling out a win or not. So we'll see.
Nice.
Zach.
Okay,
Your
my upset of the week was a Big Ten matchup that we talked about on the pod. This would be Illinois at Nebraska. We talked about it as a really big time Big Ten matchup, and it turned out to be a good game. And your Fighting Illini and Brett Bielema are looking pretty good. Pretty good. Altmaier, the quarterback, looks solid, beating a good Nebraska team on the road at a pretty hostile road environment. Illinois, all of a sudden, they have some tough matchups down the road, but their path to a playoff is all of a sudden looking a little better, and they've looked good so far. And so Illinois pulled up a big upset, and they are rising in the rankings. So, fun game.
You know how you have your system plays, Zach?
Yeah.
I might do like a system play, but just with boost. But because anytime there's a 50% boost on DraftKings or any of these betting, it's always like you want to go the favorites, right? Tens. Didn't you take Nebraska and with the boost there?
Yeah.
And I also want to take it, and I didn't. And I was like, what if I get it? I think Illinois was like plus 2 something, like 250 or something money line. I was like, what if I did that with the boost? I might just start taking underdogs with the boost and see if that ends up paying out anything.
That is,
could be a system play.
Yeah, it's like EV betting. Josh has talked about that before. That's what he does. You just because it's worth it better. The boost it's more worth it to bet that way if there's an upset because it's already plus money, and then you add in a boost and it makes it even more plus money. So that makes sense.
There you go.
Interesting.
But yeah, I wonder if you did it for all the primetime games. If you just took the underdog, like I wonder how profitable that would be.
Maybe we could start week 4
because you only have to hit probably just like 1 or 2.
Yeah, because it's be pretty big payouts.
Something to think about.
I did that with the Panthers today. They had a 100% boost on FanDuel, and I took them money line.
There you go. It paid out.
I know some people had them. I know some people had Raiders minus 5.5.
What a tough break. Hey, I hit that parlay leg. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, guys.
That's all that matters.
Okay, so my upset, I know this isn't going to be like a flashy, like big upset because do we really even know if the Browns are good? But you're going, the Giants, I predicted that maybe Daniel Jones would get benched. They're going into Cleveland and they pull out the win 21-15. Daniel Jones does not have a turnover. He threw over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, both of those going to Malik Neighbors. So that is my upset for the NFL this week.
Nice.
Oh,
okay.
We don't really know if the Browns are good, is what he's looking at. He's like, was it really an upset? I don't even remember the point spread favorite. Oh, okay.
No, this isn't a Jaguar podcast, but we lost to the Browns, and they're terrible, and we somehow lost. And the Daniel Jones looked amazing against them. So just reopening old wounds for me. Thanks, Mason.
You're trying to get over that, Mason.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. Next up, we have disappointment of the week. Tens, what do you got here?
Yeah, so Baylor, I was all over this Baylor team just because I knew Colorado had big heads because they checked notes, beat up on Colorado State, a lot of hype doing so. So I took my shot and said, okay, I think Baylor's going to come in and win this game. They controlled the second half. They were doing everything they were supposed to do. No time left on the clock, and you allow a Hail Mary to get hit. Like, I don't know. Just the fact that you played prevent defense, and this happened you could talk about it with the Falcons against the Eagles last Monday night game. Or whatever game that was, their game where they just play prevent defense and then you let them get all the way down the field in chunk plays and they beat you. I hate prevent defense. I think it's the dumbest way to play. Just play normal. So yeah, my disappointment of the week was Baylor giving up that lead. You let them hit a 40-something yard Hail Mary to tie the game and then you lose in overtime.
Yep.
It was very tough.
And then the Colorado, to finish the story, the Colorado fans stormed the field before it's even called the game over while they're reviewing it.
That's just
because
embarrassing.
they won against Baylor, who they were favored over.
They were favored.
We never got a side view,
like-
by the way.
I just don't.
We didn't.
Conspiracy theory.
You never got a what? Oh,
We
a
never
side
got
view.
Yeah.
Also, can I say? Well, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to
I was
hijack.
just going to say Colorado fans are the worst.
Half
They
of
were
them
so
had their
close to
shirts
falling
off.
off the bandwagon after that big loss they had. Now people are starting to come back now because it was an exciting game against a pretty bad team. And all of a sudden they won another game, big game at home. And Travis Hunter had a big play and Shooter Sanders does a big game-winning touchdown. All of a sudden, everyone's back on Colorado. We were so close to being done with him.
We almost had the final nail in their coffin, and then
They were
Baylor had to
cooked.
go and show their
So
colors.
close.
Do we want to talk about the part where Tinsley was like, got a sweep on the board today and thought Baylor got a dub?
Yeah, because so my best bet and my parlay leg were in college, and so was Zach. So I was like, oh, it's going to come down to Mason tomorrow in the NFL for a
2-0,
parlay
baby.
sweep for the graphic that we put out.
Yeah.
And then because the last thing I had saw was that Shedeur Sanders got sacked, that the clock ran out. So I was like, okay, that game's over. Well, apparently he has somehow got the ball off before he got sacked, and so that let him have one more play. And then that play was the Hail Mary.
Gross.
Imagine DraftKings even had it closed. They showed it was over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. I won. I am smart.
That's disgusting. Yeah, we had it. We had the 4-0 sweep yesterday. Okay.
I don't know if we want to do this now or later.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go. I didn't put it on there, but I got this. It's because I didn't want to type it out. But Will Levis is my disappointment of the week. If you throw up a graphic while I'm just in misery of watching this game, by the way, had no other game to turn to because it was only the Titans game. And they throw up this graphic of 7 turnovers this season, most in the NFL. 4 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost, and I was like, I want to throw up. Let's flash back to where Tinsley and I are watching the draft together, and I was like, thank goodness they did not draft him. And then we get to the second round, and I was like, Tinsley, please tell me they're not going to do it. Was I not, Tinsley? I was I was so afraid that they were going to do this, and I did not want it. And I tried to lie to myself and tell everybody that I believe in him, and it's just been a tough break, and I'm sorry. But I don't know what to do about this. Someone help me. This was a disappointment. That's all. And I'm rambling on a little bit, but someone help me. Zach, go ahead. Comfort me.
Hard to agree. There is no comfort here. There is no rest for the weary. Quarterback sucks, and the season's over.
Just like that. I blink and it's over.
So what you need to start rooting for now, you really need to dive deep into your fantasy football team. This is coming from a guy who had to watch Chad Henne be a starting quarterback, Blaine Gabbert. The list goes on. And
think against Tannehill, maybe?
I don't think he wants to come back.
No.
I think, dive deep into your fantasy football, and then it's mock draft season. Start looking at who's going to be the free agents. Start looking at those guys you can get in the second and third round, so you know who you're. Start knowing it. Start knowing it inside and out, and then get ready for basketball. Basketball's coming. You can dive into that. NBA.
Like I said, I'm just going to transfer my talents over to college football. Focus on that a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah, that is my disappointment. Let's just move along here. We need happier things to talk about. So
okay.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So my disappointment of the week is this has actually been going on since the beginning of the year. There's really 3 teams that are ranked in the top 10. Well, until Missouri just dropped out, who have literally played not a single bit of actual competition yet this season. Like not one team that even has a heartbeat. Ole Miss currently ranked number 6. Missouri, who just dropped out to number 11 because they just barely won a game against Check's Notes Vanderbilt.
Yep.
should have lost. If Vanderbilt hits a 25-yard field goal in overtime, it's going to a third overtime. And Ohio State, who played Marshall this week. I mean, truly, Ohio State has had the worst of the schedules. They have not played a single competent opponent yet. And no one's even talking about these teams because it's not even a relevant discussion yet because Tennessee has the argument that they have not played very good teams, but we've played 2 top 25 teams up to this point. Ole Miss, Missouri, and Ohio State, none of them have even sniffed like a top 70 team, I don't think. Like, they're so bad, their competition so far. I don't understand how they got away with it. If you look at Missouri's schedule for the rest of the season, Missouri has one game that's even going to be competitive, probably, and it's Alabama. And other than that, they play the absolute dredges of the SEC, and that is it. I don't know how Missouri ended up with this schedule. Ohio State obviously has Oregon and Michigan. They've got some games coming up. Ole Miss does too. They play Georgia, I think, and they have some tough games. But it's pretty lame when you're going into week 5, and 3 top 10 teams haven't played a single person that you can even measure what they look like yet. I don't know. That's my disappointment of the week, just because it's pretty frustrating. Just to be like, I don't know if this team's good. Who knows? Missouri may be horrible. And it's already week 5, and we don't really have a good idea yet. I mean, Ole Miss has been putting up 70 points per game against like trash opponents. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
That's
That's
true.
my rant.
It's a pretty good rant.
Missouri
I'm
may
here
very
for it.
well. I made an argument at the beginning of the season that I think a 2-loss SEC team is locked into the playoffs. I think if Mizzou has 2 losses, there's a good chance that they do not make the playoffs because it means they've lost a game that they were favored in for sure.
Yeah.
Even if they lose to Bama, if they drop the game to A&M or they have a game against Arkansas, South Carolina, if they drop one of those games, I think they're done. Their schedule is way too soft.
Yeah, they've already dropped to 11.
That was because they almost lost to Vanderbilt. I mean, they can't influence their SEC schedule, obviously, but a lot of SEC teams this year have gone out of their way to schedule some tough non-conference opponents. And they just didn't. They just didn't even try. We talked about Ole Miss had Wake Forest, which is whatever you think about Wake Forest. I don't know. They were terrible. So there's my take. That's my take. Okay. Moving on. Overreaction of the week. I'll go first here because then we're going to get into some NFL stuff. My first overreaction of the week is that Utah has locked in their playoff spot with their win over Oklahoma State. Big 12 is looking exceedingly soft at this point in time. Oklahoma State was thought of as probably the big Oklahoma State and Utah. I mentioned in our preview show that this game was going to be big for Big 12. Utah, without Cam Rising, who is their big playmaker and a big piece of their puzzle, they still beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State did not look good at home. This was a pretty big, a huge win for Utah on the road without their starting quarterback and star player. Utah's schedule after this, I think they play BYU, who looked very good this week. But other than that, their schedule, they play Iowa State. They have Iowa State and BYU left, who are the 2 teams that kind of are going to be competitive probably. If they go 12-0, it doesn't matter what happens in the Big 12 championship. They're going to make it to the playoffs. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think there's a chance that there's a realistic situation in the Big 12 where likely a Utah is going to have a playoff spot locked up already going into the championship game.
Yeah.
And that there's going to be whoever comes in second, whether it's Iowa State or Oklahoma State or whoever it is going to have an opportunity to beat Oklahoma, or it's going to be able to have an opportunity to beat Utah and have 2 teams from the Big 12 go versus just Utah winning and only 1 team going.
Yeah. And wouldn't that one team that wins, they would get the bye, right?
The bye week. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a potential that's the biggest potential for a 3 or 4 loss team getting into the playoffs, and you could have a bye week potentially.
Yeah. And I we'll talk to it once we get closer time, but I think there's some value in getting that 5th seed
Definitely.
because you still get some home field. You get to play the weaker of the top 4 teams.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's something I've in like the back of my head. I've been kind of thinking about is, if there is a scenario like what you're talking about, Utah might just say, "Hey, I'd rather take my chances at the 5 seed and play a lower ranked team, and then play whoever it is that just beat us, air quotes, in the Big 12 championship game."
I think realistically that 5th spot's going to go to the loser of the SEC championship, probably.
You think so?
I mean, unless something crazy happens, I think that's likely because I think the 2 SEC championship teams will have 1 loss max.
True.
And so, I mean, that's probably true. Yeah.
Okay.
But I agree. I think that's a valuable spot. I agree with you.
But
I think the team that maybe what you're really looking for is in the Big 10 or SEC, the 3rd place team who doesn't have to play in the championship game. If you could sneak into a home game still, that's kind of a best case scenario. Okay.
as like the 6th or 7th team, I guess.
Yeah. If you were like, say Tennessee has 2 losses and then, or just 1 loss maybe, but it's like Georgia, Bama, or Georgia, Ole Miss, or whatever in the championship game, but Tennessee sitting at 3rd. You don't have to play against another top team. You get to skip that game. And you have to play a 1st round game, obviously, but I think they'll be in a much better spot than whatever team just lost in the championship game.
Okay, so, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, Tins, what do you got? Overreaction of the week.
All right. Got one really, really quick one. We are recording while Sunday Night Football is going on, and is Patrick Mahomes washed up? He just threw a really bad.
This could age.
Some
very
people are
poorly.
asking.
Some people are asking. I mean, he just threw a really bad interception. He got bailed out last week to win the game on a phantom pass interference call. The streets are talking. Not really. Patrick Mahomes is very good. Please don't. No one clip this.
He's keeping receipts.
No one clip this and put it on the internet. But my real overreaction of the week is Andy Dalton gonna take the Panthers to the playoffs? What a night and day difference this team looked like under Andy Dalton today. The offense was rolling from the start. Scored over 30 points. I saw a stat where the Panthers scored just points in general on 18% of all drives that Bryce Young started, was the starter for. They scored on 64% of all drives Andy Dalton started with today's start, and he started a few games last year when Bryce got hurt. So it's crazy what the difference looks like with an experienced quarterback who knows what he's doing and has all the confidence and hasn't been beat up like Bryce Young, where he came in behind the same offensive line with the same weapons, but it looked like a completely different team.
Yeah, I should have never went against the Red Rifle. I really do think that Bryce Young could have the same career as like a Malik Willis, where he gets in a better situation, but I think it's over. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, are you doing this again where you're going to trash on Malik Willis? He keeps coming for you when you do.
I think I said it in a text where I think it wasn't the quarterback. I think it was just the team and the fit. And obviously he's doing well with the Packers. I bet you Jordan Love will start next week, though. I don't think they'll rush it. But anyways, back to what you were talking about. That's a bold have you looked at the schedule? Are there a lot of winnable games in there? Okay.
I took the Panthers.
That's why it's a bold prediction.
It's just overreaction. Just the Panthers look so much better with him instead of Bryce Young. I mean, I took their win total before the season started, so I'd like to see Andy keep slinging it around.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it'd be a miracle because their division is turning out to be pretty good. Like we all trashed on the NFC South, and the Saints look good.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks started off 2-0, and then the Falcons are currently beating the Chiefs. at this moment.
Something
Something
to
to
see what
think about.
happens. Something to think about. Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah, get it.
Let's
Okay.
get it.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry everybody for listening to this. I just feel like it's all about the Titans and Will Levis. But my overreaction is Will Levis. So their bye week, the Titans' bye week is week 5. Will Levis will be benched during week 5 bye week, and Mason Rudolph will take over as a starting quarterback. Do you guys know Mason Rudolph's record as a starter?
Nope.
It's probably not terrible considering he was on the Steelers.
12-8-1. So,
All right.
It's pretty good.
and he also had, let me find it here real quick. He had touchdown wise 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So he's got more than, he doesn't have more interceptions than touchdowns. So it could be a possibility. 12-8-1 record and that touchdown interception ratio. So we'll see what happens. That's my overreaction.
Love it.
Yeah,
You,
I
Zach?
can see that. I can see
Okay.
that happening.
Do we want that, Zach?
I don't care anymore.
Okay.
You know, I would maybe. I don't know. I think Will Levis. They're gonna. I feel like they're gonna look back on what happened with Malik Willis and be like, maybe we should treat this differently. Like maybe they learned some lessons, you know.
Or maybe
Probably
not
not.
draft a quarterback in the bad draft classes just because you feel like you have to take a quarterback, because that's what they got caught up in 2 years in a row, or 2 different
Or
draft
maybe
classes.
just not draft. Whatever. We're not going to. It's Will Levis. No one wanted Will Levis.
Yeah,
And here we are. Not a single person wanted him. I don't. Whatever. Okay.
not even Penn State.
No one does. Okay.
Okay.
We're
Dumpster
moving
fire.
on. Dumpster
Yeah,
fire
let's
of the
do it.
week. Mine's pretty simple here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. Guys, Mississippi State's still bad. We had kind of the dumpster fire game of the week. That would be Florida, Mississippi State, 2 teams who both were really looking pretty bad. And
Dumpster fire bowl.
Mississippi State just looked much worse than Florida did. The game was in Florida, so I mean, it is what it is. But
Oh, it was in Mississippi.
it was in
State.
Mississippi State. Oh, that's worse.
Yeah.
I did not watch very much of this game, to be honest with you. But Florida, at least, I mean, I'm going to talk about Lagway here in a second, but they looked a little bit, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of this game. I think Graham Mertz did play as well.
Mertz played well. He looked good. Lagway had some. I did watch some of this game. I bet the over, so that's the only reason I can tell you anything about it. Mertz had a couple touchdown passes and looked okay.
Okay. I think there's a chance that Mississippi State is just like
It's real
really,
bad.
really bad. I think Vanderbilt is at least a passable team this year. They look a lot better. They have a quarterback who's pretty fun.
Feisty?
He's definitely feisty. And Mississippi State just has nothing redeeming. So Mississippi State is being pretty close to clinching worst of the SEC.
At this point, I felt bad for Mississippi State. They had terrible, last offseason, Mike Leach obviously passes away before the season starts. They just promote their defensive coordinator to be the head coach. He wasn't really ready for that. They lost some recruits. They lost some guys in the transfer portal. And so this guy comes in and is just starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
And he was pretty close to getting Dylan Gabriel, because he was his offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And then Dylan Gabriel looked at who was there and was like, never mind, I'm not doing this.
Probably a good call.
Yeah.
Good call from Dylan Gabriel. Okay. Dumpster fire of the week. Tins?
All right. I went with North Carolina.
Yeah.
Traditionally not a powerhouse at football, but you do not expect them to lose 70-40 to
50.
JMU.
50.
Oh, 50. Sorry, 50.
They scored 50 points and still lost by 20.
Shoo.
That is the definition of tough. This is just embarrassing. JMU was supposed to be kind of worse. They were like the fun Cinderella story last year because they won some games they weren't supposed to and all this stuff, and they couldn't go to a bowl game because it was their first year of being FBS. but then their head coach goes to Indiana. Half the team transfers with him. And so everybody's like, oh, JMU was a nice story last year, but they're going to suck this year. Nope. They're apparently good enough to beat up on North Carolina, who apparently, now this has apparently been dispelled, but Mac Brown after the game said, I'm done. I can't do this. This cannot, I can't keep doing like, this is so embarrassing. I'm done. I'm resigning right now on the spot.
It's not a good look.
People have come out and said that's just Mac. He takes losses very personally. He will be in the office Monday morning preparing for their next game. But
yeah, apparently the players talked him off the proverbial ledge there. That's what I heard. That's crazy though for a coach to be like, "I'm done. I'm
done. I can't do this anymore." I lost the JMU by 20 points.
What a ledge that North Carolina's fallen off from. Like 2 years ago, they were really pretty good with Drake May and last year, and it's just
they had a stretch with
good.
Sam Howell's last season. They were ranked pretty high, and then with Drake May, they were in the running for ACC, talking about a playoff spot if they won their conference.
It's kind of shocking that Mac Brown is still coaching.
Agreed.
Good point.
Maybe he should not be coaching anymore.
Maybe the players should have let him.
Maybe he's right. I feel like he's been coaching for a very long time. Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
So, real quick, I didn't know if Dumpster Fire.
73 years old.
Wow. How old is Bill Belichick?
Don't talk about him.
Well, I was just curious of his age as well.
He's 72.
Okay, there you go. I didn't know if this was meant for player or team, but just for somebody that had Anthony Richardson on my team, he scored in our league. He scored a total of 4 points and 167 yards and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns.
Yeah,
not much rushing there either. So that was and they got the L. So all the things. No, they got the win, but he's bad. Sorry, I forgot they were playing against Caleb Williams. Maybe he's bad too. It's all dumpster fire.
Bears could be bad.
Bears could be really bad. If only they had Justin Fields like Tinsley said.
Justin Fields, he's back.
I did send that earlier. I said, the Bears could really use a player like Justin Fields right now.
I said in the offseason that I said, why are they doing this? I literally said they just put pieces around them like they were supposed to. But anyways, that's a separate story.
You know who agreed with you? Bears starting wide receiver DJ Moore.
And Rome Odunze's dad.
Yeah, Rome Odunze's dad.
He's crushing tape.
He's been doing that for a long time, but he's just done it on a burner account. But now that his son's in the NFL, he's like, I don't care anymore.
That's awesome. I'm sure that makes Caleb Williams want to throw him the ball more.
First touchdown pass was the Rome Odunze.
True.
They fought over the ball. Who's going to keep it?
That's pretty funny. Okay. We have a performance of the week, individual or position group, or whoever you want to nominate is cool with me. Mason.
Okay. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry from the Ravens. I wish he was on the Titans still, man. But anyways, 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, 25 carries. Ravens get the win. It's my performance of the week.
Shout out. Okay. I've got a performance of the week for a group of people. These are quarterbacks who did not start the year off as a starting quarterback taking on a starting role. I've got a list of them. We have Alex Orji, led Michigan to a huge win over USC. He looked very good. His ability, they kind of ran a 2 quarterback system at the beginning of the year, and they've moved towards him just being the primary quarterback, using his legs kind of opened up a good bit of their offense that looks pretty poor early. They looked really good against USC. I think Michigan is back in the mix for sure. Utah backup, obviously backing up Cam Rising, Isaac Wilson, led to the upset of Oklahoma State. Oklahoma backup came in. Michael Hawkins coming in for Shoot.
Oh my.
Austin Jackson.
Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold.
Who is
Almost there.
a 5-star recruit. Jackson Arnold has kind of been given a lot of time to see if he could develop, and people were very excited about him. He just does not look good. He threw a really bad interception in the first half of the Tennessee game. He looked pretty poor, honestly. And once Michael Hawkins came in, their offense looked better than it had the whole game for sure. So I look ahead for Oklahoma as Michael Hawkins being the guy there. He's a true freshman, but he earned the job. He looked pretty good in the second half.
They play Auburn next week.
That'd be a big game.
Auburn, then Texas.
Auburn does not look very good. Talk about them later. And then, obviously, we talked about him, Andy Dalton. Backup quarterback came in, shocked the world, baby. So, big year for backup quarterbacks. And next on the list is going to be Titans, Will Levis on the bench and backup quarterback coming in and leading us to a big season, Playoffs.
You mean Mason Rudolph?
I do. I forgot his name. Mason Rudolph.
I just talked about him like 15 minutes ago.
I've got a lot of names in my head, Mason.
Also, no, it's a lot. I try to keep it all. I have to write it all down. But the fact that we watched a 3.5 hour game of Oklahoma, of course, the quarterback didn't play the whole game, but none of us could remember Oklahoma's starting quarterback.
About him so many times. I had the guy who backed him up's name written down, and I forgot. I was like, oh, I know Jackson Arnold. You get to the moment, and then you're like, man, can't remember. Okay, so there's my performance of the week.
There you go.
My performance of the week is a backup quarterback as well. Some people said that he was the worst quarterback in NFL history and that the Packers would not win a single game with him as the starter.
Some people said that.
He proceeded to go 2-0 and absolutely dominate the team he was on last year, going 13 for 19, 200 yards, a touchdown, and ran for 73 more yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
Maybe Malik Willis. What a game.
I feel like
game from
this is personal. You add in extra stats. First of all, I'm the stat guy. You don't use stats unless you really need to, and then you use them.
I use stats
me.
to back up my points. That's how I use stats.
You're just enjoying all of this, is what you're doing. Are you not?
It's just it was funny that Mason, even outside of the pod, Mason was like sending us these bet slips like Malik Willis will throw 3 pick sixes this game. Watch this. Like he was betting. It was the Colts. Yeah, the Colts defense to score touchdowns. And I was like, Mason, have you ever heard of putting all your eggs in one basket? And then he said his bold prediction was that the Packers would not win a single game with him as the starter. And then
this is tough. And you're making it worse by pointing it out. I was hoping people would forget about it, but you reminded them. So
listen, people can't. You say something on this pod, it's forever.
True, it's not wrong.
It never goes away.
Me drafting Survivor in our last, if you haven't listened to it, but anyways,
go listen.
All right,
go listen to it.
Okay, we will. Let's keep our next cap of the week for the end. Let's go and do these. The highest riser in the power rankings. Which team made some power moves and is moving up? I just mentioned them, so I'll go ahead and go here. Michigan, who a lot of people were counting out, their offense looked pretty bad. They looked rough against Texas, honestly. They looked much better against USC. And while I'm here, let's go ahead and add another team in. Clemson is also rising up in the rankings right now. They had a dominant win against NC State. I think for both Michigan and Clemson are in a similar situation where they got dominated in week 1. Or not week 1, but early in the season by what might just be really good teams, and people kind of wrote them off. Both teams are now looking much better, and they may be good teams, just not on Georgia or Texas's level. So that's a potential there. Both those teams, though, are rising up in the rankings.
I don't know. Michigan, I just can't do it with Michigan yet. After what I saw against Arkansas State, I just can't get there with you. But I see
also potential that USC is just overrated as well. Playing at Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you lose by 3. They were in it. They had every chance to win. I think they're fine. I don't
There's
think they
one
had. I
Michigan
mean,
had to have, but yeah.
Michigan had to have that one. Yeah, I mean, USC wasn't coming into the year with super high expectations either. But so yeah, I don't know. I can't get. I see what you're saying with Clemson. I think Clemson could be a team that, like what you said, they just aren't on the level of Georgia, and that's okay. But they can still be a good team in their conference.
I think they'll be playing Miami in the ACC championship.
Yeah, I think so. Them or
Very
Louisville.
likely.
It'll come
Yeah.
down to those two. I think it'll be Miami, and then I wonder if Clemson and Louisville play each other.
Louisville has a
I have to
tough.
look.
Don't they play a pretty good team this week? Louisville is in the same boat as some of those other teams. They have not played anyone even moderately competent, I don't think, yet.
Yeah, Georgia Tech was their first test, and they beat them by 12.
And so I think Louisville's next week. I forget who they play. I'll get back to you.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do my highest riser in the power rankings. I went the Vikings. This was a team going into the year. I think a lot of people are super down on JJ McCarthy getting hurt, all the defensive players getting hurt, and playing in a tough division. A lot of people were kind of saying the Vikings might finish last in that division, thinking the Bears would be a lot better than what they currently are. The Vikings are 3-0. They absolutely whooped up on the Texans today. The Texans are a team people are calling a Super Bowl sleeper. Not me, but some people are saying that about the Houston Texans. But they absolutely got whooped up on 34-7 against the Vikings today. So the Vikings are moving their way up. They should be considered a top 10, maybe top 8 team in the NFL right now, if not higher.
Tinsley said it earlier today, but me and Zach were a week early on the Super Bowl winning, or not week early, a year early on the Super Bowl winning Vikings. Tough break.
Granted, you couldn't get the odds you guys got them on last year. I think at one point Zach bet like $1 to win $700.
They were like second to last, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought
Josh came
Josh
in there
Dobbs.
and won them a couple games, and we were like, hey, looking pretty good. Yeah, that offense, Sam Darnold. Once again, we're talking about quarterbacks and the right scheme. It's just one of those things where they look good. The defense looks good too. So, team I'm going with for my high riser. Speaking of defense, a team that held the Dolphins. I get it, Skylar Thompson, but that they got some playmakers on that team. Only held them to 3 points. The Seahawks don't look now. They're 3-0 to start. So I'm going with the Seahawks 24-3 win. DK Metcalf had a 70-yard touchdown catch. Just that's my high riser.
Remember when I gave that I thought the 49ers wouldn't win their division and that you should go take a full unit on the Rams and a half unit on the Cardinals? And I said, I'm not taking the Seahawks because I won't bet on a team that has Geno Smith as their head coach or head quarterback. Yeah. What a dumb decision by me. The Seahawks are looking good. I'm half right because the 49ers look rough. They lost a game today. They just look like the injuries are mounting for them. But so yeah, congrats if you didn't listen to me and you took the Seahawks.
I mean, I don't know how it's pretty valid given like Geno Smith. Let's see, he had 1 touchdown, 2 picks today, 3 sacks. His QBR was 35. So it's like, was it really an overall team? Like, I can understand you're unsure about Geno.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'll live on that hill fighting against Geno Smith.
I guess it's a good hill. I don't know.
I've lived on different worse hills.
You've been on worse ones. So have I.
I've lived on ant hills. That's like a molehill. Like that's at least a little bit better.
Tins, are you living on the hill or dying on the hill?
Oh yeah,
they can't kill me. It's only one way you can kill me. That'd be tonight against the Bills.
True. Josh Allen of the week. Okay.
Yeah, big deal.
Nosedive of the week. Which team dropped the most? I mentioned them earlier, so I'm going to talk about them here. Oklahoma State. They were pretty hyped up at the beginning of this season. They've not looked bad, but now after that loss to Utah, they look not great. That team just at home, kind of on a pretty big stage on Friday night when they were one of the only things going on, had a chance to kind of make a statement to the world that they were there and just didn't play very well. So they are dropping. I made a prediction Utah was making the playoffs out of the Big 12. So it means Oklahoma State is out. Sorry, Oklahoma State.
You're done. Oklahoma.
Cut.
Get out of here, Pokies. All right. My nosedive of the week is NIU. Congratulations on getting ranked. Somehow, some way, they got ranked for beating Check's Notes. Oh, Notre Dame. As a 14-point favorite at home to a fellow MAC school, Buffalo. So you're a 14-point favorite at home. You should be able to handle these guys easy, right? You just beat up on Notre Dame. Wrong. You lose in overtime. So I don't know if this is if this makes things worse for NIU or if it makes you really feel like an idiot for rooting for Notre Dame.
It looks much worse for Notre Dame, for sure. And I looked it up. Actually, Louisville plays Notre Dame next week. So there's your match. Notre Dame elimination game.
Hopefully Louisville can just put the final dagger into Notre Dame for us so we can cash that Notre Dame playoff ticket.
That would be electric. Okay, Mason.
Okay, nosedive of the week for me is going to be the Chargers. They started out 2-0. Now, Justin Herbert, they lose against the Steelers, and Justin Herbert might be banged up a little bit. So the Taylor Heineke's their backup. I'm just wondering, a double whammy of a loss with getting like their quarterback, because he had the injury going into the game. So, was it worth him playing? It getting worse? I don't know. So there's some red flags, double red flags. That's my nosedive, especially if they continue to get him out there and get him hurt. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. Let me see their schedule. Oh yeah, they play the Chiefs next week. So that was
Ooh.
I know.
And the Steelers, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I know that teams perform very bad the week after playing the Steelers because they're such a physical team that they take a lot out of you.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. We don't do this whenever we're bringing it back because there are some notable names on the hot seat. This is our hot seat of the week. My primary reason for suggesting this category this week was one Hugh Freeze over in Auburn. Lost a game at home to Arkansas, who has been a pretty up and down team so far this year. Hugh Freeze, after the game, seemed to be pointing the blame at everyone other than himself. As soon as a head coach starts doing that, you are immediately on the hot seat. If you lose a big game and you're like, well, the offensive line just really let us down. Wide receivers were dropping balls. I mean, as soon as you start throwing shots at people, it's because you are deflecting the blame for it and you are worried about your job. So Hugh Freeze firmly on the hot seat. Auburn has some big games going up this season. I know they're hosting an Oklahoma team. They've got a pretty rough schedule, and it may be a battle for Hugh Freeze's job at this point.
Oh,
not game to game. Probably it's not as hot as some other like Billy Napier's.
People we've already talked about.
Definitely, this was kind of this moment where everybody's like, "Oh, Hugh Freeze, not looking great."
Especially after they fired a coach and made it a big deal to go get Hugh Freeze.
Yep.
Because they thought he could, do what he did he was at Ole Miss, right?
I think so.
Before he got suspended for some pretty questionable stuff.
Yeah, if he goes 6-6 or 7-5, I could see a reality where he's out of there.
Yeah, Auburn's not a program that really deals with mediocrity.
No.
I can't say it the correct way. Pretty close. Mediocrity. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
I have to think about it really hard. So yeah, I think you're right. I think if they have a pretty bad season, they'll go, all right, we'll just try somebody else. Who cares?
Yep.
They got some big boosters over there.
Don't worry, we're just gonna get Lane Kiffin.
That's everybody's answer.
That's what everyone says. Lane Kiffin, he'll come.
And then he's not gonna go anywhere. All right, my hot seat. This one might be a head scratcher because this guy won his game today.
Mm.
He pulled victory from the teeth of defeat. He wanted to win or wanted to lose so bad. This guy, Nick Sirianni, is an idiot. You have the ball on the Saints, like in red zone territory, 10 seconds left in the first half, and you go for it on 4th and 2. Why? Kick the field goal. It's a 0-3 game. Kick the field goal. He just does dumb stuff like this every game. He mismanages timeouts and situational football. There's an obvious beef between him and Jalen Hurts. They've been getting into it on the sideline. After they lost to the Falcons last week, his post-game press conference, apparently Jalen Hurts addressed the team after the loss, and Nick Sirianni just left the room. And when reporters asked him about it, he said, "Oh, they didn't want to hear from me. Jalen took care of it. I figured I'd just come talk to you guys." I don't think that locker room respects him as a coach. I think you could also tell by the fact that he did not hire his offensive and defensive coordinator. He was made to fire the people from last year that were his handpicks. Howie, the GM, brought in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore to take over those two roles because I think if things go sideways with Nick Sirianni, he will get fired, and one of those guys will get promoted because Howie does not trust who Nick Sirianni is. If you look at the Super Bowl run, he had Shane Steichen and Rich Gannon as his offensive defensive coordinator. Both those guys are head coaches in the NFL who are perceived as pretty good head coaches. So I think Nick Sirianni is a coordinator merchant, and when he got to pick his guys last year, you saw what happened. I don't think this team likes him. I do think he gets fired this year as soon as they go on a losing streak. I think if they would have lost today, it could have got bad real quick for the Eagles.
This is a take, Chance.
No, this should have been a hot take. What was it? Our bold prediction.
I'm not the only one that thinks this either.
He's not the only one.
There's a very popular podcast in the world that I'm getting a lot of these takes from.
Us, right? Oh, okay.
No, this one's a little bit smaller than us, just by a little.
Would you say Sirianni as the offensive coordinator for the Jags, Tins?
No, I don't want any part of Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni,
he's a winner.
Was one of the guys on Doug Peterson's staff one of the only guys he ever fired from his staff because he didn't think he was doing a good job.
Maybe he could play quarterback at Tennessee.
I don't know what he. I don't think. Oh, the Titans? Maybe
the Titans.
I was like, I think UT's pretty loaded for the next few years at quarterback.
Yeah, not you. Definitely, we would never take UT.
Okay, so my hot seat,
go for it.
It would be one Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones has a high standard, everybody, and when you have,
it's so high they haven't won a playoff game in like 20-something years,
except for quarterbacks.
But listen, Ravens at home, I get it. That's not an easy game to win, but it was at home. This is what I'm most worried about. So they lost 28-25. And here's their upcoming schedule that I'm the most worried about. So they got a quick turnaround Thursday night football at New York against the Giants, Steelers, Lions, 49ers. They might be healthy by then. Falcons, Eagles, Texans. So I don't want to go through the whole list, schedule. But yeah, that's a tough schedule. So right now I don't know if where's the breaking point where if they go like 1-4 or 1-5, where does he actually like let him go mid-season? So
but let me ask you this: is Jerry Jones all in this year or what? That's what he said he was all in, and then he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
The team from last year.
Here's my biggest problem. Dak Prescott threw for 379 yards. I don't know what the leader was, but that's pretty high up there, and they still lost the game. It's because they can only rely on the passing. Like Rico, which I was like high on in fantasy land, did nothing, 32 yards.
Yeah,
Dak Prescott 7 yards. Ezekiel Elliott 6 yards. So it's like, they're one dimension right now. So it's like Dak's doing everything. Everybody's like, oh, he got paid. He's not. But I don't think he's the problem. It's like the defense and the
defense has taken a step back And that's where you look at that and say, well, what changed? Well, Dan Quinn left as the defensive coordinator. He's the head coach now at Washington. So that was a big blow. And they just, like we talked about, they didn't really do anything to improve their team. They didn't go get another receiver. I mean, your second receiver is Brandon Cooks in the year 2024. Like, this is not 2016 anymore. Brandon Cooks is not that good. So yeah, this Cowboys team going into the year, this is kind of what I saw happening was they have a tough schedule. They didn't do anything to improve their team. And so now what? What are they going to do now?
There you go.
I think there's going to be a lot of head coach. I think there's going to be a pretty big mass firing after the season's done, and some during the season too. But there's going to be some teams are going to be looking to add new creative minds from the offensive side of the ball, and a lot of teams are going to go, okay, well let's just start over.
Over under 5.5.
Over.
There you go. You heard it here
and
first.
Bold prediction still was Lane Kiffin was going to end up in the NFL. So
I did say Lane Kiffin could be in the NFL.
His bold prediction is also Nick Siriani was on the hot seat after a win. So
tell me he's not.
I love it. I'm not disagreeing. It's just it's a bold prediction.
Don't let Nick Siriani be the first head coach fired, Mason, because I'm gonna pull this clip. I know the person that makes the clips.
You
control the narrative.
Okay, so we got one category left?
Yep. Next guy up of the week.
Next guy of the week.
This is where we determine who we think was the next guy up of the week. What does that mean? I don't know. We're still working on it, but we're definitely going to nominate someone. Maybe not the best performance of the week. Maybe not. I don't know.
Sometimes it's not been.
It is what it is, but it's official for sure.
It's the who jumped off the page to us and is like, that is what embodies the next guy up.
Yeah.
Podcast. Now, what does that mean? Like Zach said, we don't really know. We don't really have a
feeling,
a good definition, but it's just like it's a vibe.
Maybe it should be Josh Allen.
Oh,
next guy up the week.
Oh, then we've got him winning 2 awards. We've got Josh Allen winning Josh Allen of the week.
Maybe they can split the award. One gets one, the other gets the other.
But what if one completely outperforms the other in such a way that you can't even split it?
That's true.
It's a good point.
Good point. Okay. Next app of the week. Tins, I think. Well, maybe we have a couple. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Tins, who do you have?
I had the one that I texted about, but I think after what we were talking about, just in general, I think I want to nominate the Colts fan who makes the songs. Because he pulled out all the stops this week. Some people were saying he's bad for the team because they hadn't won a game yet. But he pulled all the stops. He got the cheerleaders to come to his house and sing the song with him. And bing bong, they won the game.
Here's my real question. What are we doing here? If this guy can be famous and do these like music videos, what are we doing?
Hey,
like we got to be.
We're next.
Videos. He's the next guy up. We should get him on the pod.
Get him on. All right.
Reach out
interview.
I'll send
be
him
something.
a DM real quick.
Okay, while Tinsley's doing that, I'll do mine. My next guy up nominee is the next guys. It is the College Game Day crew, except for Blake Shelton. They all did the pick in Oklahoma. They could have done something cute and pick Oklahoma for the fans. But Pat McAfee and Lee Corso, all of them, they went with UT Vols, and they got it correct. So shout out. The guest speaker doesn't count because they always bring in someone from the home crowd. And so that was Blake Shelton. But that is my next guys up nominee.
Love it.
Thanks. You
know what? I'm going for the next guy up. The next guy up. Malik Willis. Shout out.
Seriously? You guys are doing this on purpose.
He took all the negativity from this podcast.
You know what? I'll take credit. That's fine.
He had a great week, even at the expense of the Titans. He was the next guy up. They needed him. He did what they needed. He embraced the hate.
It's true. So
it's something you gotta give it to him at one point. It's like part of me's like, I think the Titans fans might have deserved that one. I kind of feel good. I feel like Malik Willis got like, yeah. It's hard to feel bad for. It's hard to not feel bad for the guy who just came in and just got hated by a fan base all like just immediately. It's like, he got
matter what
his.
he did.
He's the next guy up. Can I say?
So, do we decide?
I don't know.
No, I'm changing my vote to Malik Willis for sure because I think I agree. I definitely agree with Zach that he took all the hate that he's gotten from the Titans fan base, and he was even given the chance to kind of even take a shot at him. They asked him if he had like a revenge on his mind. He said, "No, everybody was, they paid me to play football, and I was grateful for the opportunity." He could have taken a shot at the fans that were very mean to him in the podcast, the Next Guy Up podcast, where a guy said they would never win a game with him, but he proved the doubters and haters wrong.
You know what's funny about all of this to all the listeners out there? None of these were on the list. Juwan Jennings was on our doc.
Sometimes you just gotta go.
Sometimes,
Also,
yeah.
I have a last minute one. Apparently, Morgan Wallen is playing in Neyland Stadium right now. He brought out Peyton Manning in full uniform, UT orange uniform from the locker room at Neyland.
That's pretty cool.
Stage. Also, Josh Heupel, Nico, and Brew McCoy also walked out with him.
So that's what Morgan Wallen does, like a walkout thing, like he's a UFC fighter and he has his entourage walking behind him. Cool story, Morgan Wallen. But that was a good get right there, getting those guys.
Josh Heupel's like in shorts and a t-shirt. Peyton Manning is in helmet, full uniform, cleats,
full gear,
everything,
ready to play,
like pads,
ready to throw some passes around.
He came out with the national champion baseball team on Friday night.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
There you go.
Okay,
I heard he added.
We feel good.
I heard he added to the show so that they could be there since obviously the game was in Oklahoma, so it's pretty cool. No, is that a pod? Is that really what we're going with, Malik?
Yeah, congrats, Malik Willis. I think
for the week
they did that on purpose.
That's gonna be a fun graphic.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously our Josh Allen of the Week award is going to be delayed this week. I think we'll try and do like a FaceTime, record it, throw it on the TikTok tomorrow night after the game, and decide who won. We've got to, it's a running tally. We got to make sure we keep up with it to see who wins the award at the end of the year. It's very important. Yeah, I mean, who knows the score right now? I know Josh Allen has won it the first 2 weeks, so see if Josh Allen can catch him.
Some people are saying it might be a blowout.
Might be a runaway award for the whole year. It's like Tim Tebow winning the Heisman that year.
Who's Malik Willis of the week?
Oh, did we just come up with a new award? It's whoever Mason puts the most hate on, and then he does something crazy.
Why does this always happen to me? Tinsley has like 18 hot takes of an episode. Exactly. And this always happens to me. I had one. And of course,
none of mine have blown up in my face yet.
Not yet.
It's true. So
Nick Siriani's a Super Bowl winning quarterback at the end of the
season. He's a head coach.
Head coach. Sorry, I'm the head coach. I knew that. Not that stupid. Okay, I feel like that's a pod. I feel like
that's a pod.
Let's end that one. Thank you guys for joining us. Be with us on Thursday as we break down next week's games. We got some big college football games. They're just getting more and more serious now that we're kind of getting into some conference play. So exciting stuff there. We will have all of our NFL. We are on TikTok. Join us there. The Discord has been growing, and we have been posting more and more in there. So follow our bets. We have been getting a little bit hot there, so you might want to follow us, get some betting advice. We hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you back here on Thursday.